You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Sherry. I can't get over him. What should I do? Ladies, oh my gosh, you all love these episodes. So put your seatbelt on or relax and enjoy the journey. I have Sherry Stoller here, and she has had her entire life change in so many ways. And I think it's been 9 months, right, Sherry?
Not even. It's actually been only 6 months since I started the program.
Oh my Lanta. All right. Well, wowza. People are like, wow. So I think this is a really interesting thing. So let me just set the stage, because I met you last January, January 2022, coming in the beginning of the year. And we had our big Ignite Your Life virtual event, which we're having again in October. So this might inspire you to enroll in that event. And, I'm in a studio and I see all these faces on Zoom and lots of women, and women are engaging and asking questions. And that was you. So there you were. So first of all, tell everyone, how did you even end up in Ignite Your Life last January? What was sort of the thing that landed you in that registration page and making that decision to spend 3 days with us?
Yeah, good question. So I've done a lot of personal development work over the past probably 8 years or so. And I don't even remember how I came across you, but there was something where you did a 3-day, I think, sort of pre-recorded workshop thing that I discovered. And at the time, I had been going through, I had been in a sort of, let's say, situationship with somebody that I work with. It had ended with him ghosting me and starting to date somebody else and never having a conversation with me, but I continued to have to see him every day. And I was really, really struggling to let go of it. And I'd done a lot of different things in terms of just trying to find ways to just fully release it and let it go. But I just couldn't seem to let go of it. And I was really beating myself up over it because I just felt like I should be past this. And I knew I was holding myself back, but I just couldn't seem to find the tools to actually release it for good and move on.
And that's the way you articulate that is so well stated, because there's two parts of this, right? There's the, I can't let go of this person the signs are loud and clear. I intellectually know it's not right for me. There's that struggle. Then there's just the whole, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get over this? Why can't I let this go? How come I should know this by now? Right. Which is pretty shitty to be caught between unrequited fantasy, love, lust, and then beating yourself up. So what was it like? How was that impacting you in your day to day? What was the experience of your life feeling like?
I felt the word I was using was stuck. I just felt really stuck. I knew I wasn't helping myself, and I could see that I was holding myself back from what I truly wanted, but I just couldn't get myself to do anything about it. And I really was, quote unquote, trying.
Right.
I worked with other coaches. I consumed so much content about relationships. And for some reason, my brain just every time I would consume those things would try to use it to twist the situation I was in to see a way to salvage it, rapidly releasing it and starting fresh and letting go.
Wow. Okay. So you came to Ignite Your Life. So what happened from that point? What shifted for you in those 3 days that then sort of set the path for you to just jump into your courageous life?
So I try to do this every year at the beginning of the year, where I do something that's some sort of personal growth, some sort of investment in myself. And so I had decided, because I'm London based, and the time zone difference was really not ideal for me to join Ignite Your Life. But I decided, I'm going to do this. I'm going to block that weekend off in my calendar, and I'm going to fully commit to it. I'm going to be present for as much of it as I can fully stay awake for. And I'm really just going to take everything I can get out of this, and I'm going to have a fresh start. So I think even from before I started, I'd made this mental commitment to myself that I was just going to be present and show up. And it's actually really funny because I don't know if you remember this, but I think it was the last day, you had a tea break question and answer session.
Oh, yeah.
And I had asked you, I've done so much stuff already. What is it about your courageous life that's really going to be different for me in this? And you had said to me, this will work if you choose that it will work. Like, I 100% guarantee you that if you do the work and you show up and you choose, make that choice, that this will work. And there was just something in the way that you said that to me that was so definitive. So, and really put the onus on me, because I think I kept looking for all these sort of quick fixes or external solutions to solve my problem. And I felt like that was such a mirror back to me that was, you actually have all the power right here, and you're just choosing not to take it. And it really felt like something just switched for me in that moment, where I just thought, okay, I'm going to commit to this, and I am going to do it. I'm going to do it exactly like I'm told, and I'm going to listen to my intuition, and I'm going to trust my gut, and I'm going to follow this process, and I'm going to choose to believe it's going to work for me.
And that's really empowering, because most people, AKA you, if you're listening and this resonates, are like, well, that didn't work because it was too hard, or I can't do that because I'm not going to stay up in the middle of the night and do this, or, or I didn't get enough attention in this thing, or it was or I can't sit still enough to do that, or I'm not good at listening, or I'm not good at reading, or I'm not good at watching video. I mean, literally, like, we can all find reasons why something won't work. And one thing that I did say, and I believe that 100% about our process, is that it's done with you, not done for you. And if you show up and you do literally leave no stone unturned, it will work for you. So that's amazing. So what were so you dug in, you showed up. What were some things that you were surprised to learn as you went through this process of your courageous life that were still there, that you thought you worked on, but like we're still in that holding tank of your attachment to the guy?
So I realized I had a lot of, I've always struggled with self-worth and self-confidence. I mean, I'm sure I'm talking to an audience of people who understand that.
Yes.
And I think there were, I had been pretty much single for 8 years. I had been in a relationship with somebody who was emotionally abusive, narcissistic. And when I unentangled myself from that, I think I went straight into therapy. I knew I needed to work through things, but I think I kind of got caught in this place of healing from it, but never actually addressing the root causes of why that felt comfortable for me in the first place. And so even though I'd done a lot of work, I think there were still a lot of things that I was afraid to face. And probably one of the biggest things was my fear around actually getting into a relationship and being trapped. And a lot of that was related to childhood things, of course, which translate into adult relationships. And there were things that I think I thought I'd healed, but really, I think on some level, I just either accepted or avoided, or had developed such strong coping mechanisms to deal with that I wasn't even aware that these programs were in play. They were just autopilot for me. And I think a lot of because the beginning part of Your Courageous Life was really intense. We had a module each week. There was a lot of, listening to content, but actually journaling and just facing a lot of things. And instead of, I think part of me was kind of trying to do the coping mechanisms, which is, I've done this already. I know this stuff. There's nothing new here. And instead, I really leaned into it and was willing to just dive a little bit deeper and really look at that and notice the pattern in the type of people I was choosing and what felt comfortable for me, and how I really just, I was sort of the source of that type of person I was kind of attracting, because I was so mean to myself. I was so hard on myself, and that's how I kind of kept myself moving forward and succeeding in life and doing well. And it was so much based on external validation, what other people thought, but really at a core, it was just me constantly beating myself up to keep moving forward.
I think this is an important piece, is that there's a part of us that does that work. And like even the healing from that relationship, like that's no joke, right? Like there's a lot of tears and there's a lot of work that gets involved. And I say, like, when someone comes to me, I'm like trying to get them out of like the fetal position on the floor and, you know, just to be like functioning. And that's great. Right. But we want to be not just healed, but we want to thrive. And it takes, and that's why it's called Your Courageous Life, because it takes a lot of courage to get out of your own ego way and be like, you know, I already did this, and get like, wait, no, my unconscious doesn't want me to look at this, but I'm going to reassert my power, my agency, and be really extra super brave. And you did that, which is so freaking amazing. So tell me sort of like what happened. So like you started doing the internal work. We taught you our magical, but not magic, but very precise dating strategy. So what changed? Like, what is your result? What changed in those 6 months so far?
So a lot has changed in a very short time. So I think, you know, the biggest thing, and to be honest, a lot of people probably come into the program with the, you know, the sole focus of attracting love and finding a partner. And of course, that was a really big thing for me because I felt that was something missing in my life. But I really deep down knew that it was more about falling in love with myself and feeling comfortable in my own skin, because I just saw how I would adapt so much to the people around me. And so a big thing for me at the beginning of the program was the dating fast that we did.
Yep.
I had been trying to move on and meet other people and go on dates, but I still knew I was coming from this wounded place. And so, you know, as part of the program, you had asked us to take a pause at the beginning part while we were doing the internal work. And I can't even begin to say, I felt so much lighter and freer in the first 10 weeks of the program, because I just took it off my mind. And I had this just peace about not needing to worry about it and really just focusing on myself. And I just felt my energy shifting. And it was interesting because even when I was out and around with people, I felt like I was just acting more like my true self, because I was less worried about how I was coming across and what other people were thinking. And so I think when I did get to the part of the program where I was ready to start dating again, I had built up this sort of internal strength. And obviously, one of the things we've talked about in this program a lot is becoming rejection-proof. And not that rejection is ever easy, but I think I was much more of a solid base. So when things would sway me one way or the other, I wasn't being, you know, blown off to a negative space or blown off to a positive space. I was a little bit more just sort of staying in the middle with a slight wobble as opposed to falling off course. And that was really good for me, because when I did start dating again, I had a lot of really bad experiences at the beginning. And it's funny because we have an accountability partner. I was talking with my accountability partner, San, a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying to her, I felt like I had a journey. And she said to me, I actually feel like this went so quickly and easily for you. And she said, I forgot that you went through all of that at the beginning, because I actually met my current partner within 1 month of going online on Match.com, which was in a whole other space of resistance I had towards online dating and not wanting to meet somebody that way. And I did. And it's been, actually, today is 3 months to the day since our first date. And it's, yeah.
Yay!
And it's going really well.
That's so exciting. I think this is really important because And there's some people who do, like a 10-week thing with us, and some people who do a year-long thing with us, and it's all really different, but for different people. But what I do know for sure is that you're installing these new baby neural pathways, and that when you're at the beginning, and this is really, really an important thing, is that what it does is it shows you the gaps, right? Because you do all this work and you get to this new level and you like finally, like, I love myself. I feel freedom. I'm released from these old relationships. And that's great, right? But yet that's not where we want to stay, right? Because now we want to start creating. So we do a lot of like getting whole. And I think a lot of people stay there because they're like, yay, finally I'm on the dating, like I don't care anymore. And I love myself, and it's easy to just stay there. And when you really jump on a path to your courageous life, because of the way it's set up, we're like, okay, well, you're going to be given some more curriculum, right? Like the content of your life. I think Mary Morrissey is the one who first said this, but I heard like the content of your life is the curriculum you need to learn. So you get back out online, and then you learn some more lessons. So what, like in that first month before you met your partner, what's like one breakthrough that you had that you had to sort of like overcome to get to the place where you could meet your right person?
Yeah. So for me, I'm a very type A person. And when somebody tells me to do something in a certain way, I want to do it exactly right. I have a perfectionist streak.
Yeah.
And so we were told how to follow the process. And I knew that I had been somewhat closed-minded in my feelings beforehand. And one of the things we've been encouraged to do is be more open-minded in the type of people we consider as a good partner, and to change the criteria, what your non-negotiables are, how to look for somebody who is, a right fit for the vision of love that you have. And at the beginning, I take everything so literally. I was being very open-minded and giving people a chance that deep down I knew weren't the person for me. And I would hear that voice, but I would still shut it down because I would think, oh, but maybe that's not actually my intuition. Maybe that's just my old patterning. And maybe I should give this person a chance. And I would doubt myself a lot. And so a big part of that process for me was really starting to trust my intuition. And even when I met my current partner, it went really quickly. We went on 3 dates before he asked me to be in a relationship. And I remember some of the other women in the program said to me, isn't that really fast? Don't you think, you're supposed to be dating multiple people? You need to give it a shot. And there was just this internal voice that just said, lean in, just keep going. And I was starting to, hear those other voices and start to doubt. But I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to lean in. The worst thing is I get a little bruised and this isn't something worth pursuing, and I get back up and I learn from it. And best case is I'm actually learning to trust that voice inside of myself and how to balance that with, doing something differently. But also I would always seek external validation in my decisions. And to be able to actually make that decision and go, no, I know there's something to explore here. I know this is what I'm meant to do. And even now, it's only 3 months in and it's going really well, but we've already had challenges. We've already had things to go through. And no matter what, I feel so grateful to be having this experience, whether he's my forever person and maybe he will be, and it's going well now. But even if he's not, just having this experience has exponentially raised my belief of what is possible. Like I would never in a million years ever settle for the situation I was in 6 months ago. I can't even believe that I sat there and going, I'm going to try to rationalize this and make sense of it and try to make it work, because this is above and beyond the way I've ever been treated by somebody. And I would never, ever settle for less than that. And I wouldn't even have this experience if I had actually not leaned in. And he and I actually had a conversation about it, because he had said to me, like, one of the things he really appreciated at the beginning was the fact that I was leaning in and that I was really being open. And I think if I had actually, quote unquote, done what I thought I was supposed to do by other people's standards, I would have actually been creating a wall. And I really listened to that intuition inside of me to actually lean in and go for it. And so I'm really proud of myself, because I think I had a different result otherwise.
And that's really huge because one of the things I always talk about is tools, not rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there are no rules, and there's context for every single thing, and that's why it's so important to be in that process, not just with a bunch of girlfriends, right? Like with people who are going to ask you questions about how do you want to feel. And also, this is a really important thing. Like if I'm here to learn to trust my judgment and trust my gut, then there's something here for me, whether it's this guy being my guy or not. Like this is the next level I want to explore. And I think that's so great. I think the other thing I want to highlight that you said is when people are like, I'm too picky, I should be more open. And then they just literally go out with anyone who has teeth, and you're like, okay, well, it's not about, and I think this is important. I think when people are trying to DIY this stuff, you just end up doing reactions to whatever it is, right? Even we see that with people's profiles, right? Like, I just need to make sure that it's not what I had before. And then you end up leaking a bunch of gross stuff. By the way, what did your partner say about your profile? I'm just curious if if it was a connecting point for the both of you.
It was actually, yeah. And it's funny because I got such extreme reactions to the profile, which I think is what it's meant to do, right? I got so many people saying to me, because it's a vision of what you want and they can see themselves in it. Or I actually had people their stuff came up and they would project that back out at me. Like I remember one guy said to me something like, life's not that complicated, Sherry. Stop being so dramatic or something like that.
Oh,
and I was like,
you're like, bye.
Yeah. So I was like, delete. But no, so I had this, vision in the profile of I work in the wine industry and, wine is a big part of my life and I love to cook and I like, healthy food. And so I had this vision of, being in our home, cooking dinner, a glass of wine poured, him coming behind me and kissing my neck kind of thing. And it was really funny because he commented on that. He said, I could see myself in it. And it reminded him of a song that he really likes. And so he commented on that when he saw that. And it was just really sweet. And he actually sometimes will still bring it up too, which is really nice.
I love that. Oh my God. I love that for you. So amazing. So, if you think about and I ask this in different scenarios, but I think it's appropriate for this show right now. Like the name of the show is Life Check Yourself, right? So if there's anything that you would say to a listener, right, about how she could check herself, like what you learned, if you knew now when you were struggling, like if you knew that what would be different, like what could you say to them about what's possible? How could they check themselves?
So I think, again, the big thing for me was that sort of what we call the gremlin or the internal critic. And just never actually realizing how mean I was to myself and how that really kept me in accepting poor behavior from other people because it felt so familiar to me. And I have a big core wound around doing things wrong. So just that, I'm different. I always do something wrong. There's, everybody else got the memo for life and somehow it just missed me. I just don't do it right. And so I think there was something around this for me in the program with a lot of the inner child work and just, talking to my younger self. And I'd done inner child work before, but again, I had this aha moment of I was doing that wrong. And instead of being mean to myself about it, I kind of laughed about it. And I was like, oh, that clicked. So we talk about, the ACE conversation, which is acknowledging, comforting, and educating your internal child. And I realized even in the way that I would talk to my child, I would do exactly what was done to me by family, friends, my whole life, which was invalidate my experience because I'm very sensitive. And now I see that as a superpower, but my whole life that was a criticism. You're too sensitive. Stop being sensitive. Oh my gosh, Sherry, you're just being so sensitive about this. And the guy that I'd been seeing before would say that to me all the time. Anytime I would bring up anything, that was bothering me or that I wanted to talk to him about, oh, you're being dramatic, you're sensitive. And it was a thing. And I got to the point where I realized that was the way I talked to my internal self. So when I would be feeling something, I'd be like, don't feel this way. don't feel this way. And instead acknowledging, I understand you feel this way. It's okay. And I'm here with you. And also, there's a better way and I'm going to show you and I want you to trust me. And having this sort of internal dialogue and being able to put my hand on my heart and actually have this really vulnerable, honest conversation with myself. And I've seen the shift in the way that I can have conversations with my partner, with friends, with family. And every time I bring something up, with my partner, I'm constantly surprised that he reacts with compassion and with understanding. We had not a disagreement, but just a conversation where I left not feeling good about it. And we were in the car driving home and I just sat there and I just was able to name my feelings. And I just said to him, I don't feel good after that conversation. I just feel really sad. And he just pulled the car over, stopped the car and looked at me and said, okay, well, if you feel that way, then let's keep talking about it until, we talk through it and better. And, I was waiting for him to go, oh, you're being so dramatic. Just get over it. Stop feeling that. And instead I was able to be there for myself, which enabled him to be there for me. And it actually, instead of being something that drove us apart, ended up being something that made us more connected and drove us closer, which was shocking, but also felt so good.
That's so amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy for you. Like I said, everything is possible and everything is not possible, meaning that it is possible for all of you who are listening to have something beyond what you can't even imagine. And I think what Sherry said is what I hear so often is when you're in this place of limitation and your bar is so low and you don't even know that, you really can't even vision or dream. We help you even vision and dream possibility, right? And then when you're there, you're like, wow, and the part about everything is not possible is that if you choose to continue to be in your limitations, then that is as true, right? And so it's really like to live your courageous life is to really believe that everything is possible and be in action of it. And you just kept showing up for yourself and it paid off, clearly.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that's a good point too, because it did feel at the beginning like such a stretch, right? Because a big part of the vision too was not just writing it down, but the actual feeling of what it would feel like. And I think, I imagine for other people, it's the same as me. It's like people can tell you all you want that, oh, this will be great. And you can have that. And you go, yeah. Well, that's for other people, but not for me. And it's very hard to actually feel something before you have it. And I really do think that period of the dating fast, I just felt so content. I just felt so good in those few weeks that even in moments now where I'm still me, right? I'll still have anxieties. I'll still have a bad day. I'll still have a moment, but I can remember what it feels like to get back to that state of groundedness and feeling whole and feeling back within myself. And I know that it's okay to feel those things and I'll get back there. And I also know what it feels like. So I have a reference point. And that for me was really helpful because, probably in the past, if I would have written a profile or a vision the way I had, it would have felt so out of reach, so not even close to where I was, that it wouldn't feel real. And I think that was the thing, as I was able to bridge that gap between where I was and where I wanted to go through the baby steps I was taking. And now looking back, it is crazy. I've only been doing this for 6 months and it's a huge shift, but in the process, it feels like I've done so much. And at the same time, it feels like it's flown by. So I just think that was a big piece for me is, being able to actually feel the way I want to feel, to actually feel it in my body.
I love that. That's a huge piece. And so for all of you like, oh, I'm just going to take notes. And so I'm going to not date. I'm going to, and all this stuff, you like DIY it and sometimes you just miss the mark. So I really appreciate you being such an inspiration. I get so much feedback from people who listen to these episodes and they're like, wow. So it all started with making the decision to go ignite your life for 3 days, taking that learning and then jumping on the path to your courageous life. And really, the bravest thing I think we can do as humans which is really vulnerable, is to say yes when we don't know what the outcome looks like. And to believe in that voice inside of us that whispers, you're destined for more. I know this is what your soul is meant to do here. And I just really want to acknowledge you for listening to that voice inside of you, and just so proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Marni. I appreciate that. It still feels weird even to be having this conversation, right? Because I just remember so vividly that first weekend, and just thinking, because I had that mindset when I started too, that like, oh, it always works for somebody else but not for me. Like, it's such a surreal experience to be like, wait, this somebody else is going to learn from this. Like, that's so amazing.
Yeah. It's like, look, here's the thing. My mission is to help people see the possibilities in themselves. And through that, they create possibilities for others, and again, we go back to that word possibility. It's like, everything is possible. Everything is not possible. What are you going to do in your one precious life? And you created it, and you're training your brain in a different way. And you took action, and you took risks. You fell down, you got messy, which is hard for a perfectionist. And you learned that you didn't die. And then that gives you the courage to keep reaching in and leaning forward and having the conversation you had with your boyfriend, new level, new devil. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we still have time together. Like, that would just be so sad if it were over already. Ladies, IYL, super excited about that. Link is in the show notes. You can also go to IYLVIP.com, datingwithdignity.com for more on how to work with us. Sherry, thank you for being brave enough to life check yourself. And ladies, do the damn same. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWDVIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.